Fortnite, you're going to be speaking to me with a little more reverence and respect than you did prior to this.
If I try to play Beyond the Hype.
How come I'm getting like Fisher Price questions?
Guys,
Hey, what's
I
your
am
favorite
trying.
color?
I am. Greetings and welcome to the Supply Drop episode 68, a game podcast created by the Cameron Diaz, the Lucy Lou, and the Drew Barrymore of gaming. My name is Nate. I'll be your host. I am joined by two other co-hosts today. Scott.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Scott, what was that a reference to?
Uh,
Cameron Diaz, Lucy Lou, Drew Barrymore.
oh,
Come on.
that's Charlie's Angels. I'm stuck on.
Thank you.
Isn't this episode 69?
Yeah. I was gonna.
This is a bonus episode. It's episode 69. I didn't change
Yeah.
that.
Okay. This is 68B.
68B.
Yeah.
Yes.
68B.
All right, the
That'll
other
work.
voice that rudely interrupted us is none other than Thick.
Yeah. Guilty.
Thick, I have a question for you. Where's my question? Oh, here's what I wrote down. What is your
Okay.
problem? Question mark. Why don't you support us going to the cash out box right at the start of the match? That's what I wrote down.
You know what? Sometimes I want to see what our teammate does. There's a little
I have to pull
curiosity.
Scott, I have to pull teeth to get Thick to go to the cash out box right at the start.
Isn't that what you
At
do?
the end of-
That's what you do. You go to
No. So everyone rushes to the vault, but
The vault is where
all
the cash is, right?
Right,
And
but
cash
it's
box-
it's
Yeah, but you-
easier to hijack who's going to the cash out.
it's an ambush.
Right.
You set an ambush up.
Yeah, you just wait
Yeah,
and they come to
yeah.
you, man.
Scott, I was disappointed a little last night. At the end of the night, we lose 2 times. We do my little strategy, ambush strategy, and it doesn't work perfectly.
Okay.
And Thick goes, I don't think it seems to be working, and yet he doesn't remember all the times we lost at the vault box. So
Well,
he's
okay.
working for someone. I'm gonna figure it out.
2 plans that don't work don't make either one
Yeah.
of them a good plan.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
so,
You're right.
so in Thick's defense,
All right.
I mean, if it's neither one of them is working, maybe you need to,
Maybe
maybe
we
plan
just don't do
C.
anything, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
we play.
go to
I know
neither.
what we do. We play light class.
Pacifist.
That's what we need.
Yeah,
to do.
we should
All
all be
white.
light class and just run through the map.
Yeah, just
Guys,
sword
before we-
everyone.
Before we get started, I want to remind listeners that we're looking for a 4th rotating chair for our podcast. You must be as funny as 1988 Eddie Murphy, as attractive as Kelly Ripa, and have the mic skills of Orion Seacrest. If you check all 3 of those boxes, please give us a message. All right, that's kind of who we're looking for.
Yeah.
Scott, tell us how your week went.
It was full of work. It was a work. It was a total work
week.
week. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I have I have found out that I'm getting some Steam gift cards for Christmas. So my plan is the minute I get those, I will put them in my phone and I'm ordering a Steam Deck OLED.
Nice.
Yes, because I really, really, really want one. Kind of surprising to me, but Thick has one. He's got one of the original ones, so he probably knows why you would want one. But
Yeah.
it's your whole Steam library at your disposal, portable on a PC. We're not talking about streaming. It actually plays them on this. So anything that is, I shouldn't say my whole library, but anything that is compatible with the Steam Deck in your library, you can play on the go. And that is amazing. Not only that, but wait, there's more. You can use a docking station, have a mouse, keyboard, monitor, Ethernet jack, and use this as a Linux workstation. So, and do pretty much anything you would want to do efficiently.
This
on
is how
Linux.
Scott's gonna edit the podcast.
I might do a Linux edit.
Yeah.
It might be. It's going to be. I'm gonna do it. It's going to
Scott,
be like
can I give
this
you an
big.
alternative?
Our show's this big. No.
Instead
Don't
of
you
doing
say
that,
it. Don't you say it.
Maybe just buy everyone the day before, and we could all play the day
Okay.
before with your gift.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
cards.
yeah.
'Cause that
that's a
game
better
looks
idea.
awesome.
It does.
Have you watched the
doesn't
trailer?
It
you watched the
is.
trailer?
It is Steam Deck certified. Yep.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, or maybe.
So-
Look at. I guess
So
we'll
that's
talk about that later.
Yeah, that's exciting for you though. New
Yeah.
hardware is always fun.
It is. It is. I need
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I need a gadget. I need something to manipulate and take apart and
Right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah, the OLED one is the good one. I think
Yeah. I thought
I
about.
think you were interested in mine for a
I
little bit.
was, and I was thinking, but then more information came out about it, and they're not telling you everything about this new one. It's kind of a mid-gen upgrade. There's more to it than just the screen. The sticks are different. The internal heating is different. The battery is better.
The battery is bigger.
Yeah. The screen is a tad bigger. So there's enough there to warrant going to the OLED, and I think that's what I'm going to do. So hopefully when we come back next year, I'll show you an OLED Steam Deck and what the hell I'm talking about. But and you can also play old Nintendo games. Yeah, as long as you own the game.
That's right.
Well,
I was about to report him. I was about to report him to Nintendo.
Yeah.
Oh, they're listening. They hear everything. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay. Thick. Scott has a very holiday themed a week. That's what he's experienced, or that's what he's about to experience. Can you match that?
Is the finals considered holiday specific?
I'd say so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's green and red in it.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
And gold.
kind of like how my week went. I guess like otherwise like work is kind of quiet. Everyone's on vacation already, so it was like kind of quiet for me.
You're
Yeah.
But I got in a lot of game time, and it's mostly the finals. And I think this free weekend for Call of Duty, and I was trying to, I had downloaded right because it's such a huge download. But I was trying to play zombies. I'm interested in that, kind of DMZ zombie mode. But it turns out I need to also download Warzone for it. So right now that's where I'm at. It's all this download.
Download.
Yeah.
What are you playing on? What platform?
Xbox.
Okay. Yeah, we were playing with someone similar, and they downloaded it and like, okay, I'm ready to play, and then they start it and they go, oh no, I've got to download the whole this other huge thing.
Yeah.
On PC,
it gave me an error. Yeah.
Yeah, him as well. He had to close everything out and then restart the game so that it would reinitialize the install, and it's kind of messy. On PC, apparently, it had updated beforehand and did like a 40 gig patch, which I could assume that was just everything I needed to play for the weekend. And it will probably still sit on my hard drive after the weekend's over, but I didn't have any trouble. I just basically went in when it was live and it was all there. But consoles are having a little bit to. Call of Duty's a little different on consoles anyway. Their installations, it's bizarre.
Yeah. It's weird.
What'd you think? What'd you think of Zombies?
I didn't get to it yet because
okay.
I got to the point where I was downloading the Warzone pack to just because I think that's what it's based off of, right? The map in Zombies?
It's like a DMZ map. It's like DMZ Warzone combined with Zombies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Would you say it's PvPvE?
No, it's just PvE.
It's just PvE.
PvE.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's basically DMZ without the PvP.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a bunch of zombies.
The finals was good though. I think this week we finally unlocked the ranked tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Now for me,
how much butt did we kick?
We won one.
50. Yeah. Yeah, we did win one, right?
The match I played with. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our last round too.
And that was unranked. That was also unranked.
Yeah, I think I kind of like how the quick play is. It's a lot quicker. The tournament's kind of like, you're there for like 30, 40 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I have to like take a small break after every match and take my pills.
Nate begs to differ. Nate really likes the tournament mode.
Sometimes people talk and then they instantly go into another language. I don't understand it. When you're like you're playing for that 40 minutes, like, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the difference between 4 10-minute quick play sessions and 1 40-minute ranked session? It's the same thing.
It's exhausting.
Oh, wow. Okay. Agree to disagree, but all right.
I'm not saying for everybody. I'm just saying for me
Yeah.
personally. I would rather, okay, all right, let me refocus. What did I do wrong there? Let me, okay, let me go back in and try again. When it's that longer match, and I may get to that, when I get more comfortable with it, but that longer match is, you're just like in constant fight or flight, for 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah. That's true.
I don't know. What about you, Thick? What's
I mean, I like
what
both.
do you prefer?
Right?
Yeah.
But like with that throughout the week, unless I'm playing with like Nate or you guys, what was it? I just prefer quick play. It's just because I like to do my dailies. It gets it out of the way pretty quick.
Yeah.
The thing is, the tournament mode actually levels your whatever the quickest.
Your battle pass or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Scott, I have one suggestion for the team who made the finals. Tell me, I passed this by Thick last night. I don't know if he loved it. I want to see if you love it.
Okay.
When you finally get to the finals, when it's a 1v1 match, like one team versus one team,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
right? What they should do is add proximity chat during that finals match as a kind of a way to like start yelling at each other, and it makes it more intense, maybe. Thoughts?
That game should have proximity chat.
Yeah, they would. It would make it more. Wow, you'd really have to change your strategy a little bit because your communication. You don't want to give things away, but at the same time, but you could use it to your advantage of go dark.
Fake
don't say anything. Right. Yeah. Fake call outs, going dark. Yeah. That would be interesting.
Well, and I do guess like last night, especially when Scott was coming, I'm like, there were definitely extended gameplay sessions where it was just so hectic. That game is just you turn around, you shoot everyone behind you, shoot everyone in front of you.
Yeah.
It's almost at points it gets a little like Call of Duty for me, and I never liked that aspect of the game.
I think that one round it felt like it was just nonstop, right? It felt like there was an extra team. It was just 3 teams.
Yeah. It just every time. Yeah. As soon as we spawned, there was somebody there, and then there was if we eliminated them, somebody else was there. It was just like a pile on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of to the game's credit, I would say. Like it's really frantic for the amount of players you actually have.
Mm-hmm.
Right, for sure. All right, so I guess I can't add too much. I basically just played the finals this week.
We ranked up, and then
we did rank up. No, I ranked up. I ranked out of bronze. I know. Scott, I no longer play with bronze players. All right, I'm a silver only. That's
silver
right.
only,
In fact, I don't even talk to bronze players, so I'll just be talking to Scott. You're not in the ranked mode yet, so I'll just be talking to you the rest of the podcast. Yeah.
Wow.
I guess we go to listener feedback. Is that how this podcast goes?
Yes.
Do
we have any?
No, we don't. But what I'm supposed to say is before we kick things off, I want to remind listeners that we're thirsty for listener feedback. If you hit us up in the comments, we will comment on your business.
True.
Guys, before we get to the meat of the show, let's go to the rumor section, the rumor mill.
Yes.
What?
I have 3 halfway decent rumors this week. Rumor number 1, South of Midnight. Do you guys remember that game? It's a 2024 game, according to Brad Hildebrand, who is a senior PR manager for Microsoft. Apparently, he listed this as a 2024 game. If you guys recall, this was the game in which it was like a bluesy. There's like a little girl there's a skeleton. It was during the summer
claymation-ish. Yeah, I remember. I remember what it is.
It's like a Mississippi bayou kind of
had a very unique vibe to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You guys excited about this game?
Well, it's just a trailer right now. I want to see.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
I do like that it's something new. And which team is it again?
Oh, that's a good question.
This is the guys that made So Happy Few. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's it.
So.
Yeah.
Compulsion. Okay.
Compulsion Games. Yeah. This looks like it could be a platformer. I don't know. I mean, it. I don't know.
I think I get the feeling it's an action adventure.
Yeah, it's probably like a narrative action adventure. It kind of reminds me. The trailer kind of reminded me of something that maybe Double Fine would come out with. So it may have that type of platform / adventure / kind of thing. But I don't know. We'll see. Good. We just have to wait till next year.
Yeah. All right, this rumor's a little bit better than that one. Number 2, according to Jez Corden of the Xbox, is it 2 podcast?
Ooh, yeah.
You will be able to earn access to Xbox Game Pass by watching ads in 2024. Apparently, Microsoft is experimenting with this internally and may roll it out for select markets that don't have a lot of disposable income. So I guess the plan is you watch this 2-minute ad will give you an hour or 2 of game time. It's a little dystopian for my taste.
Yeah.
But
I think
You know.
it's kind of like on a slippery slope. Yeah.
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 There's TVs now that you can watch that like give you like free services, but it has ads at the bottom of the screen like constantly. So
Oh man, that is
it's like, here's a free TV. You can do what you
Yeah.
want to with it, but there's ads at the bottom of it. And
Yep.
right.
I get that. I mean, if you can't afford those things, it's a way to, I guess, afford those things. But
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I don't tell people what to do with their money. Well, actually, I do.
Yeah.
I have a
Right.
review channel, but you know, not in that way.
Well,
But yeah,
the
that's
TVs
borderline.
themselves now are subsidized by the smart features.
Mhm.
Like, regardless of whether you're watching like a free service or not, there's some
Oh,
sort
really?
of like data being pulled from it, and that's how they
So
kind
that's-
of.
That's why they're also cheap now.
Yeah, that's why they're cheap. Remember,
Yeah.
was it like a 80-inch TV back in the day was like a couple thousand? Now,
Easy.
You
Yeah,
could
now they're
yeah,
Now
you
like
can get for
$600.
under 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess what was I gonna say? Oh, you go to the gas station now. All the gas stations, they have screens on them and they play ads during when you're pumping.
Not if you hit the
Some of them.
bottom button on the right.
And it's the shut up button.
It turns it off. Yeah. For
Oh, I
most
gotta
gas
watch that.
stations. Yeah, you just hit it.
Okay, because
and it goes away.
I've been bringing a hammer. I just cracked the screen real quick. Just tap
that'll work too. Yeah.
That'll work too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The next rumor, the last rumor of the week. Apparently, Insomniac Games, developer of the recent Spider-Man games, has been hit with a ransomware attack by an entity known as Reseda Gang. As the Reseda Gang. It sounds like old Western. Apparently, this is they're giving Insomniac 7 days to give them $2 million, or they're going to leak a whole bunch of plans online.
Ooh.
So we know some of the leaks, right? Right now, I think there's been
Yeah.
talks about it already.
What
Some
do we
Wolverine
know?
leaks, right?
A Spider-Verse game, multiplayer.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dear God. You know what that strikes me as? That strikes me
Live
as
service.
10 Spider-Mans in a lobby and you fight a bunch of AI.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Most definitely.
Yeah.
You fight like a boss, a bullet sponge. I don't know.
Oh, man.
The big
Yeah.
I don't know.
bar
I
over
mean,
it.
like,
No,
yeah.
it totally will be. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
like you're gonna have to pick your Spider-Man and yeah, absolutely.
I guess, when I think of a multiplayer Spider-Man game, I feel like it's possible that it's like a full price game.
I
'Cause
think
you-
100%.
Yeah,
it's
I mean
gonna be
it's
full
a
price.
Sony exclusive. It will totally be a $70 game.
No, but, well, first of all, if it's a multiplayer, it's probably coming to PC too. And I think a lot of their multiplayer games are going to go free to play because they're like fair games. Who wants to give fair games a shot? Let's hit that free to play market. But
Yeah, that was
Spider-Man,
definitely free to play.
yeah, I feel like Spider-Man is like, no, you're going to fork over
Yeah.
$70 for this multiplayer game.
I would
I
say
think
they
so,
probably
too.
do $40, maybe like
You think so?
like the same price as Helldivers.
Prediction
Yeah, more or
Yeah,
less.
yeah.
70. I'm saying
Yeah.
it's 70. But
I get.
we'll see.
I guess that rumor is interesting
on
because
record.
in a few, yeah, in a few days, we'll maybe have the release of the information.
What day was the leak again? Or
On the subreddit, it was 5 days ago. It was posted 5 days ago, so I
okay,
think we're coming up to
so
it.
we'll see this week, but we'll
Yeah.
hear about it later, I guess.
Right. So those are the rumors for this week.
Wait,
everyone.
could this be one of the live service games that are on the list that we don't know from Sony?
Probably,
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, multiplayer does not always equate to live service, right?
It doesn't, but they're doubling down on live service. I would bet you $100 it's going to be a live service game.
Well,
Yeah.
something. They
Thick.
peeled back on a couple of things, which is news, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll read those comments online. I'm like, well, what's the last multiplayer game that wasn't a live service multiplayer game? People are like, Ghost of Tsushima had a little mode, right?
Oh yeah, it did.
Like it's
Well, it was like
Baldur's
a little
Gate.
PvP added
Okay.
later. You know.
Yeah.
Well, Baldur's Gate doesn't have any PvP in it. It's just you can just
It
play the
doesn't.
game with other people.
Still multiplayer. Just, I mean, if that's
Well,
your
true. Yeah, I
criteria.
mean, it is technically multiplayer. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I do guess like so both Baldur's Gate 3 and Ghost of Tsushima, those were like full price single player games that had like multiplayer as like kind of the side mode. If Spider-Man is a multiplayer only game, I just don't see it being not a games as a service. Just doesn't make sense.
It's too
Yeah,
big a
I agree.
yeah, it's too big a franchise, an IP
Yeah.
for them to not go live service. And I
Because-
just said all of that earlier backwards. I was thinking you said that back what you were talking about. Name a multiplayer game that wasn't a live service game.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Plus, they can add Batman skins in it.
Yeah.
In the Into the Spider-Verse, you can play as Batman, Superman,
why
Wonder
not?
Woman,
Why not?
Yeah,
It's-
Suicide
Punisher.
Squad X
Yeah.
Spider-Man, yeah.
It could be the Marvel verse. Just throw everybody
That's
in there.
right.
Who they got a license for? Just throw it in there.
Jerry Seinfeld. You could play the cast of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
What's with these tights?
Yes. All right, guys, let's get into the drop. Scott, what was the juicy news story this week?
Well, unfortunately, I have to report that E3 is officially dead, to the surprise of absolutely no one. This article comes from Ars Technica that leads with direct online marketing distribution made an expensive annual show unnecessary. And I think that most people will probably agree with that. So after missing 4 years in a row due to COVID and waning industry interest, the Entertainment Software Association, the ESA, formally announced a permanent end to the Electronic Entertainment Expo today. And they say, after more than 2 decades of E3, each one bigger than the last, the time has come to say goodbye, the organization wrote. Thanks for the memories, GGWP. So, salute.
It's really over this time.
It really
It's
is.
really over,
It's
yeah.
really over. Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of sad. It's like an end of an era, right?
Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, that was one thing that I was always thinking that I would probably go to at some point, but
Yeah.
now I just
I think,
watch it with everybody.
I think I went to 2017 one. I think I showed you guys the video because
Yeah.
I found a video of
Yeah.
myself in it, and everyone's rushing to the Nintendo booth, and I'm just like casually walking.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, what are you guys' like favorite memories from E3 or like those moments that really kind of stuck out to you? Because there's so many.
Oh God, yeah, there is so many. I think the best ones. One of the best ones was Fallout 4. When we got here's a trailer of a game that you may get in 5 years. Here's a trailer of a game that we don't have any clue when it'll be out. And then Todd Howard comes out and goes, here's Fallout 4.
And here's Fallout
And it's
Shelter.
Well, yeah, until then, but and then they gave it a release date of 4 months from then. So it went from not really knowing anything about it, or even them officially announcing it, to announcing it, showing it, and bam, it hitting that year. That's
Yeah.
I wish they'd do that more. But
That's a good one. But you
Yeah.
can kind of see in the next, was it Fallout 76 and Starfield, the reveal is just way different, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't
Oh, yeah.
have
yeah.
that same level.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Starfield. I think they showed that way too early, and they did that.
Yeah.
That teaser, then announcement, then I think another one, then game. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But that one stands out to me. There's so many of them though. But to be honest, say 5-6 years ago, we could talk about E3 and the moments that we remember in E3. But now, between E3 and then Microsoft's own expo and then Sony's own expo and then the Game Awards and all of these things, some of those things kind of run together. Like I don't remember which one Keanu Reeves came out and said, "You're beautiful," or whatever he said. You know what I mean? I think that was E3.
2019.
Well, I know, but was that E3 or was that the Game Awards or I don't
the thing
remember.
is, I think Microsoft was off site for a while, but it was always during E3, right? Like it was considered an E3 presentation.
It
in a way.
was, yeah, until COVID, and then it all kind of branched out, and everybody did their own thing. So, I don't know, But yeah, that's one of my best memories. And then everything else, it's just it's exciting. It's exciting to get all of that at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the only thing I really remember is just like, you're going on like message boards right before the showcase. You're watching the showcase, then you're going on message boards. You're talking about, oh, this is terrible. It was great. You're reading everyone's comments.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, we got to get ready for the next show in 30 minutes. And then you're ordering your pizza. It's just like a weird, like, oh my, like I feel like it's like one of the last times in your life where you're like, oh, I'm like 8 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm doing something so stupid that's so enjoyable that,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just trailers. Just watching trailers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the presentations were always fun to watch. I would take, like, I wouldn't say I take time off work, but during work,
Yeah.
I'd probably like put it on somewhere and just watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like the last few E3s, I don't remember like nearly having the hype for them for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's just it was already like
Yeah,
waning.
like dying down a little bit.
Yeah, I think 2017 was when they first opened it to the public.
Yeah.
Because at that point they were already struggling a little bit.
Right.
So that's why they were trying to expand their audience to create almost like a Gamescom PAX kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, E3 was never the biggest. Gamescom was always the biggest,
Gamescom
right?
was always bigger. Yeah.
It didn't
E3
feel like that though. E3 always
E3
felt
had
like
the
it was.
reveals, right?
Yeah. Because it
Gamescom
came
didn't
first.
really have the
Yeah.
reveals. Yeah.
But we can't go without mentioning all the little guys, like the indie people that, E3 was like their shining moment. When they were on the floor and they were like, "Hey, check our game out. Come here and look at this." And otherwise they might not have had any way to show what they were doing. And on that floor they might have picked up a publisher, or they might have, I don't know, gotten somebody's attention. And also, just the hardware, like the new hardwares, the mice, the keyboards, the controllers, the headsets, all of those booths too. We forget about that stuff as well. They would reveal new stuff, or they'd have new stuff that you could actually go and try, pick up and use and, check it out, talk to the people that designed it. That's what a trade show is. And that's why those trade shows are sometimes important for people to get, their product out there. But I think that as far as the indie stuff, there's plenty of online venues now that highlight, those indie games. So maybe they're
PAX is still a good place for it. PAX, there is like area dedicated to indie games.
Yeah, and how healthy is PAX as far as?
I feel with E3 like kind of moving away, it's grown over the past few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's good. And that's less of a trade show than an actual game show or gaming show. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we also have to recognize that as one, as E3 dies, the winter E3 rises with Jeff Keighley's Game Awards. That really gives you the closest feeling to E3
I mean,
that
he
what
was popping a cork of something when he got that news.
Right.
E3 was dead.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what will really kind of replace. I mean, is it
the
Summer
Kiwi
Game Fest?
Summer Game Fest. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I mean, is it going to just replace that time slot? Because it used to be a little bit. It's like later in the summer, right?
Well, all right. No. I think the Summer Game Fest was essentially him recognizing that there were a bunch of events during a certain time. So he's just like, follow my Twitter during this. This period.
He kind of put that together during COVID when he's like, oh, E3 is not showing this year. Hold my beer. And also they moved it up pretty much everything to June. It used to be like the end of July or the mid-July.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and they moved it up, which I think is smarter because you get that information earlier, and then there's a farther stretch between that and Gamescom, because so you could have they don't start bumping into one another.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well.
Yep.
Yeah. Goodbye, E3.
Yep.
We'll miss you.
Yeah, rip
E3.
For the
E3.
Well, okay. One more thing. What was the first E3 you guys remember?
The first one.
The very first one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Really?
Well, back in that time,
that.
it was like E3. Well, you knew E3 was going on. There was limited information on the internet. There's almost zero because they didn't get any. the magazines would get all the information. So you'd have to wait for the E3 issue. But the E3 issue was like
that was the issue of the year. Yeah.
That was the one you wanted
and
to
then, right.
up.
Yeah. And then you would have to wait and go, oh my God, what's going on at E3? And you'd have to wait and get your EGM magazine or whatever and take a look at everything.
And my gosh, the report cards in those magazines. What did they grade the Yeah. That was big.
Yeah. So it was a little archaic at the time, but yeah, I remember doing that. It's like, seeing that big E3 on the magazine, you get like 3 of them. Like, okay, we get
which year was the first year?
I think 97.
Ooh, okay.
98, something like that.
For me, 02 was kind of like my big one.
Yeah.
02?
02 would have been big. 04 would have been really big.
Yeah.
And then 2015 was really big. 16 was really big. It was really good.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I remember that stood out.
My personal biggest E3 was at Space World 2000 with that Zelda demo. Remember that realistic looking Zelda?
That's not E3 though. That's Space
I know
World.
it's a joke. It's a joke, but that's like the one thing that like really sticks out. Like when we were watching that realistic looking Zelda, it was like, remember the graphics on that thing?
Yeah.
We all believed that the GameCube could do it at the time, but then we got Wind Waker.
Not what we got. Yeah.
No. So, all right. Thick, what about you? Do you have any maybe more uplifting news than the death of a great time in our lives? Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's very uplifting either, but the day before.
Sad.
Sorry, I can't hear that with
can't laugh. Well, okay. So the day before.
Like, no.
Oh, what was it? Let me see. Day before. Release was it December 7th on early access. About 5 days later 6 days later on the. Okay, my math is wrong. On the 11th, Fanatic, or is it how do you say it? Like Fantastic?
It's fantastic. I think.
Fantastic. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to say it. They have announced they're shutting down. Because of it was not a financial success, the game, right? But like,
I wonder about that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the context of the game is like throughout the year we received like little news. It's had little controversy. It had a copyright controversy. However, honestly, like I don't know if I ever believed that. Right? Like I just felt like they were just delaying it to kind of like either. I don't know, like work on it more or find people to work on it, because right now this game is the early access review on IGN. They gave it a 1. I mean, I'm sure they partly did that for clicks, but
yeah, it's definitely a 7 out of 10 or 7.5.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if it was a Sony exclusive, it would have gotten at least a 7.
At least a 4, right?
Oh, it would have got a 7. Yeah, easy.
Yeah, I mean, because some people asked them, like, why didn't you give Golem a 1? And they said that the days before actively makes you not want to play the game. And
whereas Golem...
I guess there's something that at least gives you something in Golem.
Right. Now, my question for you guys is this. I think, didn't we read that like 200,000 copies of this game sold, and then Valve issued refunds to, I think it was 90,000 people?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Which means that this game, which I don't think anyone like even made this game. I think this was just like dragging and dropping a few things onto a.
Yeah, it actually was. There was this thing is it's been controversial. And Nate, I kind of have to give it to you when they first showed this. When we saw them pull up into town, that guy with the cowboy hat moving around, that trailer was just amazing. You called it. You were like, "This does not look like a game. This doesn't look like a game." I don't remember doing that,
but I'll take the credit.
So yeah,
I might have done that too.
I think by that second when we're all like, "No, there's no way this is gonna." But someone pulled the assets, the Unreal Engine assets. So if you don't know, there's a store you can go to if you have the Unreal Engine, and you can buy assets, and that's like chairs, tables, guns, capes. I mean, whatever you need, you can. And it's called just assets. It's like an asset store, and you put it in your game. Some of these
Yeah.
games on Steam, people just go in and they buy this stuff and kind of haphazardly throw something together, and they call it an asset flip, where they just piece together enough that it looks like a game and they sell it to you. And then, and you got it. If you play more than 2 hours, you're not getting a refund. They get to keep your money. So this game has supposedly been in development for how long, Thick? Like
at least 5 years.
5 years? Yeah. All the stuff that was in what they released, someone pulled it, and all of it had been purchased for the game in the last year. So that brings the question is like, was this even a working game until this year?
Yeah, people were always skeptical of it. Like, was it the Force Gaming? He kept releasing videos on them. I'm sure for it's good clicks, right?
Right.
But I mean, it pretty much points out a lot of things just wrong. So many red flags.
Yeah, there's a lot of red flags of the company, not necessarily the game.
Yeah.
Like one guy said that they had, he was I think he said he did sound or something like that. But he was a contributor to the game, and he was a volunteer. So he didn't get paid for it. He just volunteered to make some stuff for it. And he asked, at one point, it's like, hey, is this game, like, is this finished? Can I, like, see some of the finished product of this game, like what we're working on? And they said no, and then later they just said you're not needed anymore. It's like you're asking questions. You got to go.
Volunteer.
Yeah, a volunteer. Yeah. So they did have some paid people, and they had a lot of people that were unpaid.
Well, assumingly paid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
I think. Yeah. Not only that, they have another app that's basically a Microsoft Teams ripoff that they incorporated into one of their trailers. Like, hey, here's how we're making the game, and we're using this software to do it, to get everybody connected, and it's their software. It's something that they're trying to, which I think they've pulled that as well. It looks like complete incompetence or super scam.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll know until somebody actually breaks the story on it.
Yeah, I think everyone's already on the narrative that it's a scam.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree for the most part. Okay, so this is like a blatant example of like gone wrong, right? But it's just like the metaphor of you put a frog in boiling water, it just jumps right out,
right?
Or but if you have the frog in there,
slowly add heat.
Yeah, so this is just the frog jumping out, but I think we should really start to be concerned about games actually doing this, and we are not catching it. I think like the clone game or the asset flip, like okay, for Genshin Impact, like I don't know if you guys saw that video a long time ago. Basically, lots of animations exactly the same as Breath of the Wild, and they said that it was like inspired, but like honestly, I don't believe
looks 1-to-1.
It looks 1-to-1.
Yeah,
I mean, I could show you the video,
but how do they have access to like Nintendo's engine and things like that? Like,
I think maybe you could do it with like the emulators.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can pull the game apart and probably pull animations out of it.
Yeah.
Which is illegal. I mean, that's.
But I mean, yeah, like I absolutely will not play Genshin Impact because of that video. Because like, I think there's a fine line between taking an idea and making it your own. I mean, and they do that to an extent, to their credit, but I feel like they faked it till they made it, which is very common nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more games that are they're not a game first. They're an idea to make money first. Which is not what we've been seeing previously. You get a group of guys together, it's like, we really want to make this game and it's passionate about making this game. And it's usually the publisher or somebody else comes in and goes, well, let's monetize the crap out of this thing. Now it's the other way around. It's engine. You can get the Unreal Engine and pretty much make anything you want and make it look like anything you want. And now with the day before, you can obviously put together some trailers of some really impressive looking stuff that is never going to be in the game.
Yeah.
So now when you see a trailer of something, It's just, is it even safe to get excited about it?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like
Mhm.
even was it like Synced and what
Yeah.
was the other game? The
All
first
right.
Ascendant. Like they're great looking games, like in the trailer, but like
Yeah.
I was always skeptical.
Skeptical. Yeah.
Especially when I forget, I think I was doing Synced. I was downloading Synced and it asked me to download this weird ass anti-cheat. It's like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
Never heard of it
do it.
before. Yeah.
It makes me wonder, yeah, like are all these actually games or are they doing something in the background, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean that's
exactly.
like tinfoil hat kind of thing, who knows? But
Well,
I mean, right now I am mostly sticking to what I know.
it's a conspiracy
Yeah.
until it's a fact.
Yeah.
I will say this. So it sounds like they kept the money from at least 100,000 players.
Yeah.
Am I doing that math right?
It's something like that. Yeah.
Sounds like it.
And
Yeah.
how much was that game? It was probably
It was
$40.
$20 game?
$40. Yeah.
It was a $40 game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone made a lot of money on this, right?
I mean, they made some money on it. They probably made
That's
enough. Yeah.
If it's a couple of people, if it's a couple of scammers
It's
who are
two
just
two
spending-
brothers. Yeah.
it's two brothers, and if they're just like, dude, let's spend $5,000 on these assets, and we'll
Right.
collect 100,000, money from 100,000 people. That's like,
Yeah.
great job,
Another
fellas.
on Steam, if you don't know, you can get a refund of any game as long as you have played it. I think within a week, and
2 weeks
you,
and
you've
2 hours.
purchased it. Yeah, within 2 weeks, and you have played it under 2 hours. A lot
Wow.
of people said that when the game launched, there was a queue that was just over 2
Oh,
hours.
smart.
Right.
But they are
Yeah.
giving refunds now. They are giving
Yeah.
refunds.
They
You can't
are.
even buy the game now. So
Yeah, they pulled it from
Yeah.
Steam. The page is still there, but you can't purchase it.
Yeah.
So, wow.
I will say this though, like, can we just say that like this, Walking Dead, DayZ, PvP, PvE, MMO type game is just like people think that it's awesome.
there is
Like
demand.
that whole idea.
Yeah,
That whole idea
there-
of like, oh, instead of watching a zombie movie, we can be in a zombie movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Naughty Dog's working on something. Wait a minute.
Yes. Naughty Dog has they're so close.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're
so
so
close.
close.
So
But
close.
one more thing, let me add. So Nvidia released the trailer with the days before, right?
Yes,
so
they
it,
did. Yeah.
It makes me question like,
Nvidia.
it makes me question like is it that easy just to like get sponsored that
Right.
way? You know?
Yeah, you would
it's
think
like,
Nvidia's like, we want to see this game. We want to see what it is, and we want to see
Yeah.
everything about it before we put our name.
Right.
No.
So
They
that
just-
shows different cracks elsewhere. I
Yeah.
mean, now I'm like skeptical of like when you show an RTX trailer is that actually a real game? You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Nvidia's shady anyway. But
More or less.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Where is Nvidia from? Is that an American company?
no, they are
I'm
Korean.
not sure.
Is it a Korean
Say they're
company?
Korean.
No, I don't think they're Korean. I think
No?
they might be Taiwanese. But
Oh,
I'm
right. I
not
think
sure.
you're right.
I'd
Yeah.
have to check it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But their stocks like double this year because of AI. I mean, that's a different
really?
topic, but yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and the U.S. government is telling them not to stop sending China all of our AI super
Stuff.
secrets to manufacture because it's like, hey,
Come on, guys,
wait
quit
a minute.
it.
Yeah, I know
Quit it,
that's great
guys.
technology, but stop.
Wow.
So anyway, that's above our pay grade.
Yeah.
So Scott, you had some bad news. Thick, you led with bad news. Do you have any good news, or are you just like bah humbug? This
Christmas is
like,
coming.
Bah humbug.
Christmas
Yeah.
is coming. Well, guess who brought good news? Guess who brought good news?
Not Nate. No.
Not Nate.
Nate brought good news.
Wow.
Let me
All right.
start with some good news, okay? Zelda producer, I think I'm saying this right, Aiji Anuma,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
suggests that
You're
it's game over for Linear Zelda. Earlier this week, he went on record to say the following. Okay, this is a fantastic quote. He says, quote, I do think we as people have a tendency to want the thing that we don't currently have. There's a bit of grass is greener mentality. But I also think that with the freedom players have in more recent games in the series, there is still a set path. It just happens to be the path that they choose. So I think that the one thing I kind of like to remind myself about the current games that we're making. But also, it's interesting when I hear people say these things because I'm wondering, why do you want to go back to a type of game where you're more limited and more restricted to the types of things or ways you can play? But I do understand the desire that we have for nostalgia, and so I can understand it from that aspect. So he's basically saying, you linear Zelda fans, you need to go back in your hole. Go back from the hole you crawled out of. Yes, yes. Do either of you have a strong take on this? I think like this guy's just saying like, hey, everyone, the sky is blue. We're, you know.
Are you going to play Tears of the Kingdom again?
No, I won't play it again. All right, I won't. But I sure as heck won't play a linear Zelda. I won't even buy a linear Zelda. You know, Nintendo got a lot of money from me for a brief period, right?
Okay, yeah.
I got a Switch plus Tears of the Kingdom for about 20 days, and then I returned it. So
I get what he's saying though. Like he probably won't design another linear Zelda. I think his first one that he directed was Majora's Mask, which is actually my favorite Zelda. It's not exactly linear, but I think the main story's linear. But the way it's built and the limitations, just I have a lot of respect for that game and what they did with it. So it's a more curated experience compared to more open experience. I mean, I think that sometimes that's a give and take.
Yeah, I hear this word curated a lot online in these threads where the linear Zelda fans are trying to dogpile them. But I don't understand that, like, when you're creating a linear game, you can do more curated moments. I'm like, can't you just, maybe it's harder to do curated moments in open world, but can't you also do them in open world?
Well, we kind of see this in Starfield a little bit, right? Like there's like a certain openness, but then there's also curated sections. I think it can be done. It just needs to be like
it's harder
mixture. Yeah, it's definitely harder.
Yeah. But who did? We do not do things because they're easy. We do things because they are. Was that JFK? Right? I don't know.
Something like that.
That's Abraham Lincoln.
Was Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Scott, what's your take on this?
Well, I think that talking about that structure of linear and open world or one or the other, I think of Assassin's Creed. The last three, well, not the latest one obviously, but the last three titles are somewhat in that vein of you have this open world, but when you go into say a town or something, your quest structure and the people that you talk to, you've got cutscenes, it's very linear in the storyline. And then when you get done with that section, it's like, okay, go here, and then you're just let loose to go do whatever you want again.
Yeah.
Playing Breath of the Wild, I never really got that. You go into towns and stuff, and like talk to people.
It's open.
But it's open. Everything's like open. Right. I think I like both aspects of that, but for me personally, I don't think it's necessarily nostalgia. The Breath of the Wild, and I didn't play Tears of the Kingdom, but I watched videos of it. Both of those games, the first one to me felt like a simulation and not a true, not I didn't feel like I was playing a role-playing game. I didn't feel like I was playing a Zelda game. It was an interesting game. I did have fun with it. The second one looks even more like a simulation where you're, connecting pieces together to build these things. Still, it could be equally fun. But when you look at, Zelda as a franchise, like Twilight Princess, where you had, these fantastic moments that were curated, those I remember a lot better than anything in Breath of the Wild. Even playing, Link to the Past, I thought was a better experience than playing Breath of the Wild. I don't think it's nostalgia. I think that gameplay for that franchise is just better.
I would say, though, isn't A Link to the Past, I would call that open world, though.
Well, it is open world, but isn't it also curated? I mean,
it's curated enough.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
there's a good balance to it.
Yeah.
And by the way,
wait, one thing, A Link Between Worlds, which is the 3DS game that's kind of based off A Link to the Past,
Yeah.
is even less linear. Like you could do any dungeon in
At
any
any
order.
time.
Oh, in any order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas, Link to the Past, there is a curated order to an extent. You
Yeah,
can go around, right?
Right.
So,
You can
Yeah.
go in a hole and you need to immediately leave. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we're using this word curated, though, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Can we be specific? Because
Well, I'm
I
using
feel
it
like
as
you
it's
go ahead, go
scripted.
ahead.
Like, well, like Thick says, like
What-
you're playing A Link to the Past. You go out of the very first area, and then you're not allowed to go to the very end of the game. Either by difficulty or just being blocked off. It opens those things up to you as you go. Also, it's given you a path. Like you complete this, now you have to go do
Right.
this or go find that. So you're just like Assassin's Creed. When you get to that open world, you can pretty much do anything you want. But when you go into the town and go talk to the
Right.
Al, Al tells you, "Oh, this is what." Then that's that curated, that scripted. It's
Yeah.
probably just a better way of saying scripted.
I feel like I noticed.
I kind of know what you mean, real quick, Nate. Because this can have a lot of semantics to it, right? Because let's take Tears of the Kingdoms for example. Like the systems for the more open emergent gameplay are curated. Like there are rules. The rules are curated to it. If that's one way I would look at it.
Do you think
to, like,
that's
something
what
like Tears-
he's using? That's what he means by curated?
I mean, I think
I don't
as-
even know. Did he?
I-
Oh, yeah, he did use the word curated. He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in his way, I guess he's using it more about the linear style of gameplay. But I mean, in the sense, if you expand the definition, I think it would, kind of like curated the rules to Tears of the Kingdom. That's one way I would look at it.
Yeah. I think all in all, he's just saying it's like Tears of the Kingdom that's what you're getting from now on as a Zelda
Yeah,
game.
that's pretty much it. It's like I'm not making another Majora's Mask. That's basically what.
Yeah, they're not making they're not going back to like some kind of weird like
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker, thanks. And then flipping back to something else. They're just too hard to make.
I
guess
also
now.
think it's interesting because I feel like this angered some Zelda people online, like on message boards and whatever. I'm
Probably,
like,
yeah.
he didn't even need to say this because all the prior Zeldas, they all sold 5 to 7 million copies. These new ones sold 40 million. So why
Right.
do you need him to say? Obviously, they're gonna keep going in this direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I also think like what are the most successful linear games that we still have today? And I'm like, you see the God of War, you see the Uncharted's,
Yeah.
Last of Us, but other than that, I feel like you just don't see that many hits in those with those linear games.
Yeah,
I
Sony
think
seems to be
everyone's
doing it.
expecting was it like very high production values like Sony, right?
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
not everyone can achieve.
Right. I think there's also evidence that Alan Wake 2, which I think that's a linear game. Alan Wake 2 is not. It's kind of bombing for that company, Remedy, right?
I don't know. I
I'm
haven't
not
checked the
sure
numbers
yet.
lately.
Like in terms of numbers, I don't know.
I saw Matt Piscatella. He's like that. I don't know if he's a Nintendo guy or what he is. He studies the trends or whatever, and he says that it reached like 122nd most played game on Xbox. Or there were some awful engagement metrics, and he's like, dude, it's not sounding good for Remedy right now.
You love those Steam charts.
Well, I think that's the best way you can gauge them because clearly Remedy's not going to be like, hey, everyone, we sold 192,000 copies of Alan Wake 2. They're not going to say that, right?
Well, maybe they should have put it on Steam.
Oh, it's on Epic Game Store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
is a very big factor. A lot of people on the PC side do not like Epic and will not give them money.
Right.
Yeah.
Just period.
Right.
They just won't give them money if it's on their store.
Yeah, my friend was so reluctant to buy Alan Wake 2, but he loved Control. He loved basically Sam Lake, his whole just
Sam Lake verse.
yeah, Sam Lake verse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think that whole store mentality is insane. I cannot understand why you wouldn't. If you want to play a game, just go download the Epic launcher. Like people really value that storefront on PC, don't they?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But well, it's why have exclusives? That's one of the reasons that we go to PC or stay on PCs, because we don't want to deal with Xbox exclusive or Sony exclusive. And here's Epic Game Store saying, well, it's exclusive.
I guess to me it's like not even exclusive because it's free to download. Just put it like literally slide it on the desktop, slide it right next to your Valve, your Steam like icon. It's like that's how exclusive it is. It's just
yeah.
move your
I guess the
cursor
way
right
I
over
would
there.
put it is like, would you like it if PlayStation had it, like someone had an app in that, and then you had to only buy a game through that app, like kind of like that, and then
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's a minor annoyance, but I'm like, if a game is interested, I'm doing it without a doubt, like no question.
Well,
you know?
okay, the Epic Game Store is garbage. It is absolute garbage. It doesn't
But
have
what does that even mean?
Because it doesn't have. You don't have reviews, or they just added reviews. You don't have. You
pretty
can't
bare
even.
bones.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have friends, there's like your friends list, and the way to communicate with your friends in Epic Store is abysmal. The storefront is just flooded with shovelware. I mean, they push, of course, Fortnite on everything, and I know that they are. Just the app itself is just crap. I mean, it takes forever to load and is not always fully functional.
But by the way, is forever to load like to click on Steam?
Like could be
take
minutes. No, Steam
could be
Steam
minutes?
opens in seconds. Yeah, it could be minutes.
All right.
I look at an Epic Game Store
Yeah.
loading screen for. I mean, I go do something else sometimes, and I know there.
It's not just Epic either. It's like people don't like the Ubisoft launcher. They don't like the EA launcher. It's like, why
Yeah.
can't I have it all in one place? Now that they've gotten better, because like now they've kind of Ubisoft games are on Steam now. Same with the EA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just easier to have your library, but at the same time, I don't mind EA's launcher. Ubisoft's launcher is not that great either, but they give you the option of other stores. When Ubisoft has Breakpoint for $11 and it's $60 on Steam, hey, just get it on there and play it on. I mean, you have that option of getting it. Much like when on PlayStation, you don't have an option. You go to their store, you pay their price, and that's it. No matter what it is. Epic, that's the big thing about Epic. It's like we don't have to buy your game from you. We can go to another store and get it that has better support, better everything. But when they put a high profile game such as Alan Wake 2 on their storefront as an exclusive, then that's when you start seeing those numbers not reach their full potential, because people are just PC gamers are, man, they, if you piss them off, you've pissed them off for life. You don't, they're not bendable like console players, because they don't have to go to your store. They can go somewhere else, so Epic just doesn't seem to get that.
It's so hard for me to understand this, because I'm an individual who eats dinner sometimes, and I go out to eat. And like, if I want to eat Mexican, I go to like a Mexican place. I don't go like, I prefer going to Applebee's. Well, how come Applebee's doesn't have my Mexican? Like, how come? It's just like, you go here for that, you go here for that,
Okay, let's say that
So it's
Applebee's
just-
is 20 miles away, and that's your only choice.
No,
Would you still do it?
No, that is so absurd. It's right next to your icon. It's a half an inch away. So the 20 miles away is like, everyone's just a diva. All PC players are just divas. Like, I can't. Now, granted, if you are accurate that it takes multiple minutes to load up the Epic Game Store, which to me I agree sometimes it does, but that just seems like insane. Like, maybe
to me, it's not necessarily the download. It's just like they operate under different policies. And I remember with the EA access in the very beginning, it had a lot of shady terms of service. So it's like, what are they doing in the background? So I didn't download.
I get that. I
didn't download Battlefield 3 for the longest time until supposedly that thing changed, and then for Battlefield 4 I did.
You're talking about Origins, like EA.
Yeah, Origins
that
back
was,
in the day.
man, that was terrible. And it's again though, but I mean, if you've got options, why? Look, if you want to eat Mexican food and there's 5 Mexican restaurants, and there's one that is crappy, why would you go to that one? Why would you not pick from the other 4?
Because my thing is like Alan Wake 2 is supposedly a high quality game.
Mm-hmm.
When I play Alan Wake 2, I care about the game. I don't care about like, double clicking on an icon to open the game. Like,
no, it's not just that.
That's not that.
That's not why people don't like it.
I can't get past, like, I can't understand it.
Okay, it's not purely about the launcher. It's kind of like the principle in a way.
Yeah,
like
that's the launcher. That's no options. Yeah. The Steam, you can do anything. You can change your library. You can reorganize your library. You can add like, show me this, don't show me that. Notify me of this, notify me of that. There's it's like I want my friends to be able to see me do A, B, and C, but not see S, D, and R or whatever. It's you have those options. It's a very customizable, and it's very it's just a great place to have your library for your games. You can do pretty much anything you need to do with them. Epic Game Store does not give you hardly any options to do any of that stuff, and then most other games that are on there are just asset flips, like we were talking about earlier, because they want to fill their game store. It's just, again, like, if you have 5 places to eat, why would you go to the crappiest one? Why would you just not go, I'm not going there because their food is crap?
But my retort to that is, like, Alan Wake is like the creme de la creme of that type of game. Like, you can't call, like, if you love Alan Wake 2, that is what you're there for.
Yeah, so, you have to go there and you have to get it.
So it's like, I understand. It's like, you could almost say it's like it's a restaurant with a bad parking lot. It doesn't look nice inside. It's like got mean waiters. But the food is just delectable, and it's like, all I'm here is for the food. I don't care about any of that.
It's more like
stuff.
that they have one dish that is good and everything else is crap.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can make that.
I mean,
right?
I'm trying to explain. I can't say anything. I bought Alan Wake 2 on the Epic Game Store because it's the only place I could get it. Right. So
it's like. Okay, like on the phone too, there's the Galaxy Store if you own a Samsung phone.
Mm-hmm.
No one likes that.
Mm-mm.
But it's still there. You can't do anything about it. It doesn't mean you... Yeah, I mean, I can download Alan Wake 2 on Epic Game Store, but I'm not going to like it. Like, going through that hoop to do it. Like, I don't like giving my payment information to Epic when I already have it on Steam. I have Steam credit I could just use towards the game whenever it comes out. So
and to me it's like, when I guess when the Sega Genesis first came out to challenge Nintendo way back in the day, I wasn't mad at Sega for like trying to like unseat Nintendo. I was just like, they're making a product. I wish I didn't have to buy this new hardware to get the Sega games. I wish all the Sega games were on the Nintendo product, but to me, I just never got mad at that company.
That's not the same thing. That's not the same
not
thing.
The same. Not the
it's
same.
Not the
but
same
it's
thing. No.
It's not some.
All right. No, I would say you're right. It's not the same thing. It's 100 times simpler on PC. Like, to me, when I have to go buy the Sega Genesis, I have to go to the store. I have to fork over a bunch of money to come home. I have to hook it up. It's super freaking annoying. The Epic Game Store is just click.
Okay.
I guess you gotta wait a little longer.
Do you have Temu? There's a lot of great deals on Temu.
Yeah, you can get
Temu?
A Darth Vader helmet for like $4.
It's kind of like Temu? Alibaba. Do you know anything, or is it?
I don't know that.
It's like Amazon.
It's like an online marketplace.
Okay, Wish. Any of this? Do you know any of these?
Wish.com.
So it's like an alternative to Amazon.
Kinda.
It's an alternative to Amazon, but everything's cheap.
Very cheap.
All right.
Very, very cheap.
The reason why that doesn't make sense to me is because Alan Wake 2 is not cheap. Alan Wake 2 is a high quality game. So I know Wish
selling high quality things there.
It's $50.
Would you still go to it?
Yeah, because when I think of a game, I think like that's what I'm there for. I'm not there for the parking lot. I'm not there for the.
Okay. Let me do this.
This has tablecloths. This doesn't.
I think we should just move on.
No. One thing.
I know.
In the parking lot, and they're surveilling your car. They're tracking where you go.
Yeah. All right, but from what I understand, Epic isn't like some crazy company that's like trying to steal my social
I
security
don't
number.
trust
Epic seems
Epic.
pretty.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I get your point. Like, if the parking lot has like jagged spikes in it and rusty needles, okay, then I don't want to go in. But nothing that you guys have explained to me is like the Epic Game Store is that bad. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not
But
that.
it's just tough.
Moving on.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's just the lowest common denominator is all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I got you.
It's that restaurant that's just not that great. Don't feel right
Right.
about it. They got people in the back that they, beat like constantly.
Okay.
And
Okay.
but they're, I mean, if their food was good, but then somebody goes back there and starts beating the crap out of the service, the people that are making it,
Yeah.
so
Everyone's a little Mariah
like,
Carey.
"Oh,
Everyone
this
has
is
a little
so
Mariah
good.
Carey
Don't
in
you
them.
feel bad
Yeah.
about it.
Okay,
Guys,
it's Christmas. Let's
I tried to start out with a good news story, but it turned into a lump of coal. Now I have to go to my legit lump of coal story, okay?
Okay. Good.
All right. An update. This one's called an update on Last of Us Online, according to Naughty Dog. I have to read a little bit for you for this one, okay? Naughty Dog says on their website, we realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We've made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on that game. We know this news will be tough for many, especially our dedicated The Last of Us factions community, who have been following our multiplayer ambitions ardently. We're equally crushed at the studio as we're looking forward to putting it in your hands. We wanted to share with you some background on how we came to this decision. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2, so since late 2019 maybe. Crafting an experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. As the multiplayer team iterated on their concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, their vision crystallized, the gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all of our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. We are immensely proud of everyone at the studio that touched this project. The learnings and investments in technology from this game will carry into how we develop our projects and will be invaluable in the direction we are headed as a studio. We have more than one ambitious brand new single-player game that we're working on here at Naughty Dog, and we cannot wait to share more about what comes next when we're ready. Until then, we're incredibly thankful to our community for your support throughout the years.
You should be in PR.
Let's go to you. Let's go to you on this one. What's your takeaway from that little apology note, I will call it? The internet's in a tizzy. The internet's like, you wasted all these years on. We could have had more new games coming out.
When everyone's in a tizzy about stuff in the past, it's like it's happened. Yeah. They pivoted. Just move on. I mean, it is what it is, right? Nothing we say now will change that they lost some time. I mean, this is just like life, right? So,
right.
Like, to me, I don't give a crap about that. But I think it is disappointing to hear that a studio of that caliber is not making a multiplayer game when they could have had great potential, right? So, could have.
Scott, what about you? What are you taking away from that?
I mean, Naughty Dog is primarily a single player studio. They make single player games. Anthem. Just think about Anthem. Redfall.
Yeah, but I mean,
these are when these that's mega single player game studios make a multiplayer focused title. It doesn't go well. I can't think of anybody that's done that it goes well. It's the wrong studio making the wrong game.
I think it's completely possible for a studio to shift.
It's possible.
But I mean, there's a lot of bad examples.
I don't think Naughty Dog's one of them, though.
You don't think they could make one? I mean, because they did the multiplayer for the original Last of Us,
making like a multiplayer section. BioWare made multiplayer Dragon's Age.
But were they any? I don't think they were any good, right?
Well,
it didn't feel like it.
It was okay. It wasn't like terrible. I mean, their multiplayer in Mass Effect 3 was pretty cool, but it's just a multiplayer throw in to the game they have, just like they've done with like Uncharted and and the last one with Last of Us, the Last of Us 1. It's not like they can't make a multiplayer game, but we're not talking about just making a multiplayer section of a game. We're talking about making an entire game based on multiplayer, co-op, PvP, PvE, whatever it was going to be, a live service. I mean, we even saw 343 fail at this, who's been making Halo for 10 years. That I think that this is a very smart move. I think they should have never even gone into this role as a live service studio without knowing what the hell they're doing with the live studio game. It would have just been another Anthem.
I kind of disagree, but I mean, you're basing it partly on like past experiences with these AAAs, but I always champion them trying it. Like, it might not work.
I could see, all of them want to make a Destiny, right? They all want a live service game that just keeps rolling in money every week, because up until now, they throw out a game, they make, they sell, 10 million copies and make a bunch of money. They make a remake of it and they sell another 10 million copies. And then they make another remake of it and they send, that's not sustainable. How many times can you remake a game? And what are they working on otherwise? Or do they have another IP they're working on? Is it single player? Is it multiplayer? There's nothing wrong with making a single player studio making a multiplayer, part of the game they're making. I think that's great, and I think it's a spot where they can learn from. But for them to just their next game to be a complete full-on live service game, I'm not a Naughty Dog fan for one, but I think it's a smart move, and I think they recognize that this is not something that they wanted to put out with their name on it, and they knew that it probably wasn't going to make the money that was expected. It's a smart business move. But I was kind of excited about it personally. As far as the game itself, it sounded really cool. But
yeah, I was excited.
We didn't know much about it. It's just playing the multiplayer on PS3, the multiplayer for the first Last of Us, man, was brutal. I mean, that game was tough, and to have that thrown into a larger, world where you can play cooperatively and against other people or whatever. Yeah, it sounds great. Who doesn't want that? But I don't think they should. If they had taken that idea and just handed it to a studio that is capable of doing that, I think that, and then let them focus on another single player game or a sequel to The Last of Us, I think would have been a smarter idea. That's all. Let me bring this up. So I don't know if you guys remember, but when they were, I feel like Herman Hulse was on interviews, and I feel like people were describing this game and they were saying, who says story can't be in a multiplayer game? Remember when they were saying that?
Mm-hmm.
And then it sounds like that what Naughty Dog realized is like, oh my gosh, we have to churn out a lot of content for this game in order to kind of float it. And I my brain always goes to Destiny. Destiny requires those companies to make a lot of content.
Yeah.
I feel like what happened was they tried to marry story with multiplayer, and I thought that was the dumbest idea in the world. If that means that, it's cutscenes, we want the multiplayer gamers to watch cutscenes. I think story and multiplayer has to be like Valheim, where it's like you're creating your own character. You're, oh my gosh, I'm the villain because I have all these resources.
Think for The Last of Us, the world stands good enough on its own. Like that whole,
I agree.
Like environment,
right.
I mean, even in the games, there's a lot of just environmental storytelling that you run into. With just doing exploration. You find an apartment that's like, oh crap, what happened here? And you look around, you read stuff. And I mean, there could have been a lot of that, but probably, it was going to be more like, hey, you go to this base and you talk to so-and-so, and so-and-so tells you all this stuff, what's going on. And then they send you to somewhere else to go do A, B, and C. And, much like every other, game like that, like Destiny 2 or Division 2 or, and that's what they meant by those characters and those stories will be furthered in this multiplayer package. And on paper and in it sounds great. It sounds amazing. And I know that's why a lot of people are upset that they canceled it, because it sounds amazing. But if you can't pull it off, there's very rarely a fantastic game that gets canceled. They get canceled for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think this was some next big thing game.
I think it would have been a mistake for the studio.
I definitely agree that if they canceled it because they knew it wouldn't be good, I mean, it's the best move.
Right.
Yeah.
Give it
somebody else. Let them make it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say I was still disappointed that I couldn't see it. You know, but it is what it is.
And I'm pretty sure they would have released it on PC with the PlayStation version as well. That would make sense.
Yeah. Thick. Scott said something earlier that I had an issue with, so I'm gonna bring it up here. All right.
Okay.
He says there's been no history of these single player studios making a multiplayer hit, right?
Well, a live service game. Yeah.
All right. So I guess what I instantly thought of, I'm like, oh, actually, every giant multiplayer company started in the business making single player games, right? Then obviously what they did, like Blizzard, Bungie started with Marathon. That's a single player game. Then they kind of took those tools and they kind of made Halo next, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Halo was had a multiplayer component. And then they went to Destiny 2, that's kind of the natural trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my thing for Scott. Scott, we're seeing a game called Lethal Company pop off on Steam. It's a crazy revelation on Steam.
Yeah.
If you look at that game, and let's say you're surrounded by leadership at Naughty Dog, and you're like, watch this computer. Look what this one freaking dude made.
Mm-hmm.
This game is making a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that a 400-person studio or Naughty Dog with PlayStation's resources, like, are you that like perplexed at how Lethal Company is popping off, or do you think we can study it and maybe do our own version of? Like, there's just so many hits, these like low scale hits, like Valheim made by 4 people.
Yeah.
Splitgate made by 2 people.
Yep.
That I just feel like, especially with the way like most gamers are multiplayer gamers now, I just think it's crazy to be like, no, you got to stay with your single player games because it's harder to make a multiplayer game. I'm like,
I don't know. Go ahead.
I mean, it just seems like the way the industry is headed with multiplayer, it's like, yeah, you better be making, like, take your bats, take your swings at the ball.
Mm-hmm.
No one, who cares if you go up to the plate and you strike out? Obviously, you don't want to sink your company if you strike out, but it just seems like the environment says, yeah, go take your chances at the multiplayer bat.
Well, I think it just has to do with your chances. If you're a AAA studio, and you've got, say, 400, you take 400 people of your 2,000 employees and you say, go make a multiplayer. Well, that's 400 people that are not working on your other game.
Well,
and then if that 400 people, it's like, hey, this is looking good and we're going to release it, and you release it and it turns out to be a complete flop, you lose a lot more than those 4 guys that put out a game that probably worked in their spare time making.
Yeah.
You have a lot more to lose, so you take way less chances when you're
way less risks.
Exactly.
I guess what I would say to that, though, is even in Naughty Dog's letter here, they say this game has been in pre-production the whole time. So what is pre-production? It's not 400 people at Naughty Dog. Is it a team of 20? Is it a team of 30?
Probably.
Is it a team of...
Yeah. It's probably like a very small team that, has still got half the game on dry erase boards or something. Right.
So to me, I'm like, if you're a huge studio with PlayStation backing, take 40 people and try to figure something out. If you can't figure it out, cancel it and move on or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just see so many comments online are like, we could have had The Last of Us 3 by now because The Last of Us Online. I'm like, no, those 40 people.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, they're not gonna go, hey, everybody, stop what you're doing. We're gonna do this multiplayer game, and then after 5 years, or 3 years, no, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, right.
They're working on something else. We just don't know what it is. I saw a rumor that it's like a space game. Or some sci-fi game.
Everyone's going to space because
everyone's
Starfield.
Lost. Yeah, it's Last of Us in space. Yeah, that's what makes money. Sony is just kind of freaking out about it because those games do make money, but they're one-offs. And don't get mad at me for saying that, but they are. I mean, it's like, look at the, you like your Steam charts, go to Steam, look at God of War. When it came out, bam, it's like, everybody that bought it's been playing. It's like, and then after the month, it's gone.
And by the way, about God of War and these single player games, like they're $60, $70. A Fortnite skin is $20.
Right.
So it's like
know,
that
right?
math. Like, think of how many man hours go into a Fortnite skin, and think of how many man hours went into God of War Ragnarok.
I know. It's surprising to me that anybody makes a single player game.
Yeah.
You're right. It's
right.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got to move on.
Yep.
Now, should we get into Donkey of the Week real quick?
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
This kind of bleeds into kind of what we've been talking about. But this week's Donkey of the Week, and this is Thick's favorite segment of the podcast. This week's is Colin Moriarty of Sacred Symbols fame, right? The big dog. Colin himself. This is his little quote. He said so much garbage, but I only got this little quote. He says, quote, "I do wonder, can Sony get out of this deal with Bungie? Can you sell Bungie off, like just sell it to someone else and just be done with this? Because they know they got you. It's like getting rid of an injured player in sports. It's like, okay, we'll give you 60% of his value." Bungie, and then he also goes on to say he was particularly mad because Bungie are the guys telling Naughty Dog what to do with their game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So again, Colin Moriarty, he's pretty knowledgeable on how the media works, and yet if there's something he wants to believe, it's like, boom, I'm in on this story, right?
Yeah.
Bungie releases one underperforming, what do you call it?
DLC.
Expansion?
Expansion, yeah.
And instantly he's like, we should sell Bungie off for 60% of its value, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the only thing is, like, guys, if I ever said something that stupid, I would hope that you guys would stop, do the record scratch, stop the podcast, and be like, Nate, you're an idiot. But when you're watching this episode on Sacred Symbols, the guys are just, the other two hosts are like, yeah, makes sense. Sell Bungie off for 60% of their value.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thick, anything to add there? Is he deserving? Is he deserving of Donkey of the Week, your favorite segment of the show?
Yeah, definitely deserving. I feel like. Yeah, once he just latched onto the narrative without really questioning the source, right?
Yeah.
And like, we only see so much, and I feel like there's that quote from, it's a Starfield guy that got a lot of flack this week. Like, there's stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
That's going on in Bungie. So I'm like, I'm not going to pretend I know. I hope they can pull it off. It's really up to them, right? So
yeah.
Well, they always seem to do it. So
yeah. I also like the idea that, like, so what percentage of employees made Lightfall at Bungie? Like, I don't know, maybe 300 people at Bungie. Maybe not. Idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like a smaller section that made Lightfall, and it's like the idea that those are the people who are going around to these PlayStation studios being like, no, I mean, we made Lightfall, so here's what you should do. It's a different team within Bungie, with like all different human beings with all different knowledge bases, all different data, right? So I just feel like you do hear online a lot, like, well, Bungie is doing bad, so why is Bungie like saying to these companies? It's because they're entirely separate entities, you idiots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not only that, though, they almost invented the live service game. And
it was one of the first. Yeah.
And for a while they were extremely profitable on it. It's still there. You could still play Destiny 1, and you can Destiny 2 is still, even though their player count has dropped considerably, it's still there. It hasn't closed the studio or anything. It'd be different if it was, they were like about to shut down and lay out. But no, they know what they're talking about. They know how to make money. Yeah. They just make stupid mistakes, just like a lot of companies do, because somebody said, I think we should do this, and then it screws up the whole thing. But if I was making a live service game and I had the opportunity to talk to Bungie about making a live service game, that information would be invaluable. That would be like gold bricks. Yeah. And it just shows that Colin Moriarty just doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Right. Scott, I love what you just said, because it the whole narrative around this is like, it's like villains from a movie where like the suits come in from Bungie and they like there's some crazy authoritative figure. What happens is you communicate with people. You communicate with the leadership at Naughty Dog and you say, here's what we see. What do you see? Let's kind of see if we can reach a conclusion.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, let's just like treat it like Thanos. He's just they just snap their fingers and vapor
People
the game,
have
right?
weird imaginations about like how business works. I don't know.
Yeah, they forget that it is a business. No matter what it is a business. It's not just it's just not Bungie's not sitting there going, "Hey, I wonder what Colin would like this week."
Oh my gosh.
Let's put this. Xur's going to sell this because I think Colin Moriarty would like this. No, that's not how it works. They're not there for you. You're there for them.
Yeah. It's so frustrating, this whole narrative, because I just like, it's so obvious. It's such a bogus narrative. And I'm like, okay, I don't mind if a certain percentage of people buy into the narrative, but the people watching, the people buying into the narrative should say something.
I really think it comes down to nobody, for some reason, can understand that Naughty Dog might have made a pile of shit.
Yeah, thank you.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, give me a break. It's they're not infallible. I mean, God, look how divisive Last of Us 2 was. You either hated it or loved it. I hate it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Oh man.
I'm with you.
Anyway, Donkey of the Week. No doubt.
Yes. All right, guys. Let's go to maybe a more fun segment of the show. Thick. We have three.
Oh yeah.
What do you call these segments?
I would say this is our end of the year wrap up. Just how we feel about the year, right?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. So introduce what are the things that we're going to be talking about here?
Well,
okay.
Before we do that, can I do one thing?
Yeah.
And just to give a perspective, because I think this is important before we go into it, I'm going to list off some games that came out this year.
Okay.
No order, no preference, no anything. I'm going to do this real quick. So then when we talk about this, and keep this in mind, 2023 games. Are you ready for this? Okay, I'm going to do this real quick.
Yeah.
Dead Space Remake, Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Diablo 4, Spider-Man 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Hogwarts Legacy, Atomic Heart, Octopath Traveler 2, Remnant 2, Dead Island 2, Jedi Survivor, Redfall, System Shock, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Overwatch 2, Armored Core 6, that one's for you, Nate, Starfield, Lies of P, Counter-Strike 2, Forza Motorsport, Alan Wake 2, RoboCop Rogue City, Modern Warfare 3, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and then also PC handhelds.
Starship Troopers.
Forgot that one. Starship Troopers. PSVR 2, PS5 Slim, the Portal, PC handhelds. This is what we got in 2000. This is just a fraction of what we got in 2023.
Yeah. Well done.
Well
That
done.
will be in our memory
year.
for this.
Absolutely banger. So
yeah. One of the best years. I right now I can't think of too many years that actually top this one.
Yeah. I misspelled it.
All right. Thick, introduce this topic. There's three things that we're gonna be going over for 2023. What are the three?
But also want to discuss winners and losers of 2023. Right. That's more generalist.
Okay.
More like what we overall think. Kind of like we don't have to agree or disagree on that necessarily, but just the overall. And then also for our personal take, I would like us to see what we were most disappointed with, what met our expectations, and what exceeded our expectations. And this could be just a game, or it could be something that happened in the industry. So, something to chew on. So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys want to start with?
Thick, kick us off. I'm ready for anything. I brought receipts. You
brought receipts. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. This could be quick fire. What do you guys think are the losers of 2023?
Go ahead, Nate.
E3 is the big loser, right? To officially die is a pretty,
That is definitely one of my things on my list.
Yeah.
I got a couple other things. I could share it.
Let's share it. Let's hear it.
Live service to an extent.
I don't agree. We're gonna have a 20-hour podcast. I will not shut up about this.
No.
What's your next one? Thick?
Next one. Okay, next one. PC players, due to all the
Ooh,
optimization.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Embracer Group. That's
Oh wow, yeah.
had a lot of issues.
Jeez.
Mhm.
Lord of the Ring fans. That's another one I have. Partly Embracer Group related.
Yeah.
And then I kind of want to put this as Arcane fans. It's a
Yeah.
tough year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Arcane fans was bad because I think a lot of people didn't like Deathloop when it came out. So to go from
Yeah.
Deathloop,
It reviewed well and it sold
it reviewed well,
but
Yeah.
and then
I didn't like it.
humans gamers played. I didn't like it either.
I kind of have a question mark for Arcane because I think Blade is potentially a win. At least having
Yeah.
a franchise like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marvel will work with them
Yeah.
to ensure that
Right.
it is a
And-
worthy. Yeah.
Mhm.
I do think they are a great pick for a Blade type game.
I
too.
agree. Yeah.
What I liked about that is I liked how they said in their introduction, they're like, you're gonna play Blade how you want to play it, or how
Yeah.
they alluded to like having different options, which I'm like, oh, at least it's
Yeah,
not
like
gonna be
an
a last.
open, like here's your mission, go do it however
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
one of the reasons I love Dishonored.
Right,
Well,
right.
that's the main reason I like Dishonored, but it's
Do you guys have any more losers to add to 2023?
I have one.
Okay.
Console players, and I say that
Ooh.
because this year, we've got just performance issues for games, 30 FPS on games. Games coming out unfinished like Redfall. Also Starfield was 30 FPS. We've got price hikes.
Oh,
there
yeah, the
was,
price hike.
yeah,
That's true.
And really just an unbalancing of games. You've got one side that's releasing games that are somewhat good, somewhat bad, and then you got another one that really didn't have many as far as exclusives
Yeah,
until the end of the
I
year.
do feel I wanted to put Sony as a loser in a way.
Yeah,
Just because it's been kind of like a pretty poor.
it's been a
year in terms of-
mid-year. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So just in general, just not that 60 FPS or 120 FPS kind of just went away in 2023 for a lot of newer titles, and that kind of sucks for them.
Yeah. I'm gonna go my sanity this year. So
Is that the
obviously
loser?
My waistline.
we've done. Yeah, this is me. I feel like because we do this podcast now, I listen to other podcasts so much more like intently,
Mhm.
and I cannot freaking stand it. And I'm just repeating what I just said. I can't stand it when all 5 people on the podcast they're saying the same thing and they're all going, "Yep, yeah,
Yep.
yeah."
Did we
And
just
it
do
happens
that?
every
Yeah.
week. Like I can disagree on over 50% of the topics that are brought up with, like, if I'm listening to you guys or if I'm listening to any podcast, but no one else disagrees. I don't get it. So that's been frustrating. It's been frustrating.
I
That's fair.
get it.
That's
I
fair.
get it.
Yeah. Well, were any other losers?
I don't have
There
any
we
more.
go.
Did you have any, Nate? I don't think you shared too many.
No,
right?
I didn't really prepare for the winners and losers too much. I do have a winner. Can we go over a winner?
We can go over winners.
Yeah,
You
let's
can
do
start that
winners.
off.
Yeah.
All right. Jeff Keighley with the Game Awards reached a record viewer high, 118 million streams. He just keeps going up and up it like a rocket ship. And Joel McHale, who some people on this podcast think he should be the host of the show, he's
Ooh,
just sitting at
terrible.
home. He's getting fewer and fewer viewers, but Jeff Keighley's getting more and more viewers.
I do have Jeff Keighley as a winner for my
You
side,
do?
too.
Yeah,
Good.
he definitely won.
He's winning. Maybe he'll win even bigger
I
with
don't know.
E3 gone.
I don't know, but I wish I had some music to play every time he says Jeff Keighley. I can play some music. Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't have that ability.
Well, it's just the Game Awards in general. I guess we could call a win because it's.
Oh, yeah,
It's It's. I think it's got more viewers now than the Oscars, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
that's
so.
That's tough because I know the Oscars, they always do their numbers, but those are always the TV numbers, and then people defending are like, dude, it actually gets a ton of views online. So I don't
Yeah,
know
I
how
can
much
see
the Oscars gets.
So I do have kind of like a semi-winner, and it is live events. Like a lot of live events start happening again this year, except for E3, of course. But I mean, E3 is already a loser, unfortunately.
Okay.
A winner I have is ARPG fans. I think this was
Oh,
a
big
time.
stellar year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
You got your Diablo 4, you got your Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Is that-
Yep.
that's not really
Well,
an action RPG, though.
Nah, that's
Not
turn
quite.
based.
That's
Yeah.
still CRPG did have a win. That's a
Yeah.
CRPG one right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting fans too. I think this was a good year for fighters.
Oh yeah, Street
Oh,
Fighter
huge.
6. Yeah.
And they don't deserve it. Those fighting fans
No,
don't deserve
They're
it.
jerks.
They're jerks. But it's funny
I don't
how
know
like
that.
all four of the biggest fighting franchises basically came out within a 18-month period. Tekken
Yeah.
8 is about to come out, right?
Yeah, a little bit like next month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
And
right-
I think Evo had good. They showed off the League of Legends one,
did
which
they?
is it looked pretty good.
League of Legends Fighter?
Has a
Yeah.
fighter,
Oh, I
yeah.
missed
They,
that
they
one.
have a fighter.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Looks like all the other 2D fighters, Scott.
Yep. Probably.
All right. What? Anyone else have any more winners?
I'd say race fans
Race fans, yes.
on both
Totally.
sides. Yeah. I mean, you've got. I think they added a bunch more content to Gran Turismo on PlayStation side, and this year, of
And
course, we
VR
got-
support. They have
and
VR support.
Yeah, they added VR support, and then Forza was released on Xbox.
I gotta say something.
Motorsport.
I gotta say something. Is it
The Crew
true that
Motorsport.
Digital Foundry did like their big Forza versus GT7?
Yeah, I
comparison?
saw
and then they had a distinct winner at the end of it, and the winner was Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
Is that essentially the conclusion that they came to?
I think what they really talk about is graphically and how Gran
right.
Turismo kind of like.
I don't understand how that happened though. Forza is like next gen only. That team had significantly more time to make it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest, Gran Turismo didn't really release anything in between either since Sport, right? They had. a
But I
long
think
time.
Sport and GT7 came, or not Forza Motorsport 7. They came out around the same time, and then the new Forza Motorsport came out like a year and a half after GT7, didn't it? It just felt like if you have 20% extra time plus next gen only, you should be winning that comparison.
I
I
agree.
think should be. I think there's certain things that Forza won, which is more so like the physics. I think
Physics, yeah.
more interaction with like the car, because like when you crash in GT7, it's
Like,
it's like
stiff.
just it's like looking at a polygon smashing into like a wall. So
Right.
but
Yeah.
one thing I do have to say, GT7 has great replay, and I think the choice of style of graphics, because like the graphics I feel in Forza are a little bit saturated, where the ones in GT7 it looks more realistic.
Yeah. I know that what's his name? Kaz something, the director of Gran Turismo.
Mhm.
I know he's like super into photography. He's like a
Yeah.
nut about photography. So I feel like that probably helps him with like replay mode and certain, things like that. But
Yeah, it's
I like both games.
Yeah,
but-
it's odd to me though to see like comparison shots of these games, and it's you can have like 8 comparison shots, right? And it's back and
Yeah.
forth. It's like, oh, that shot looks
It's-
that looks Forza looks better. Oh no,
yeah.
in that shot, Gran Turismo looks better. And so I think it just comes down to really which game you like better. The graphics aren't everything. I've seen some shots. I've seen some people playing Gran Turismo. And I'm like, God, that does not look good at all. And then I've seen
Right.
some that's like, wow, that looks absolutely amazing.
I think for
Yeah.
both games, like from their initial trailers, do not look as good. Like
Yeah, that-
No, they don't. The
That
Forza
initial-
definitely doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I will say, do you guys ever get this? Do you ever think like this? Like if you put the racing, the Simcade, they call these games Simcade,
Yeah.
so it's half arcade, half sim.
Mhm.
If you put all those fans on an island and then like attach nodes to their heads, you gave them Gran Turismo 7 for a year and just measured their enjoyment of the game, it would
Yeah.
equal the exact same amount of the Forza Motorsport.
Oh yeah, you're
experiment.
probably right. Yeah,
These games are they're too identical. They don't do anything that interesting differently.
it's like Coke and Pepsi. I mean, they're basically
But yeah,
just-
you could
Yeah.
if you're a big fan though, I think you could feel the difference though, right?
yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
So I mean, let's not dismiss the Crew Motorfest 2. I think that's an overall one of the best. Well, it is the best the Crew so far. I
Mhm.
think. so I think that's part of the winners.
And that
you
was
know, as
released
well.
a couple of months
September.
ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you're a racing fan, I mean, you're eating pretty good right now.
I think everyone's
Winner.
doing good. I have down horror game fans too.
Yeah.
You know, Layers of Fear,
Dead
Alan
Space.
Wake, Dead Space.
God,
Yeah,
Dead Space remake is so good.
man. This just kind of highlights like all these genres. Like there's so many great games. Like so much variety. I want to put extraction shooters just because I thought we had a lot of announcements, but a lot of it, you know, were not that good.
Yeah.
And also the cycle closed
Cancellations.
down. Yeah.
Right.
So that was I put that down early on the year, but I actually I consider that a loser right now.
I'm so fascinated about next year how these games are going to do.
Yeah.
Because again, it makes so much sense in my head, and then I watch like Arc Raiders, the leaked gameplay of Arc Raiders. And it looks so freaking boring.
Oh,
I'm like, why is it the idea so fascinating, and then the execution is so brain dead boring? You know?
I don't know.
I don't know, but you know, you got to remember that some games are not fun to watch, but they're extremely fun to play.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, especially a free to play game because you get to try it out, you know, for yourself.
Right.
If it gets released.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one more winner. I don't know if you guys have any more, feel free to share, but I would say portable gaming.
I'd say so.
That's in my surprising. Yeah.
You're surprising?
Yeah.
Yeah, iPhone, ROG Ally, Lenovo Go, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then the Steam Deck OLED. Well, it's such a great year. I think this is just going to keep like gaining momentum.
I do too. There's already YouTube channels dedicated to just handheld PCs.
Yeah.
Well, handheld gaming in general, because they'll cover the Portal and everything else. But yeah, I think this is pretty interesting. This is going to be, nobody panic. It's not replacing your console or your PC, obviously, but I think it's going to be a format that we're going to see a lot of in the future.
You know, I would love it if in like a couple years, like you could play like 360 games on something the size of a DS. Something like that.
No, thanks.
The DS.
I
Why are you bringing up the DS on this podcast?
Well,
I like the portable
you can.
pocket.
Yeah, you actually can do that on something that size.
Yeah.
Wink. But anyway.
Can I ask you a question, Thick?
Yes.
All right. I know there are people who like these smaller handhelds because it's more portable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just can't envision, what are you doing where you're like, oh, if I could, I would just put a little Game Boy in my pocket, but I have the Steam Deck, so I can't take it with me.
Have you taken something like for me, like I would rather take a Switch to vacation than a Steam Deck because the Steam Deck is nearly twice the size.
Yeah.
Like you will feel it. Like if you're carrying a backpack and that's the only thing you're carrying, that thing is taking up a lot of space.
Yeah.
So it's literally okay.
Yeah. That's why I've switched from a 3DS XL to a smaller one before because I'm fine with the form factor. I can still game on in the smaller one fine.
I guess when I think about game, like if I was to game outside of the house, I don't want to game like on the bus. You know what I mean?
I don't do that anymore. You're just asking to get it stolen.
Yeah.
I feel like the only time I want to game is like when I'm in a hotel room or like when my surroundings are kind of controlled a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I see people. I did see someone bring the Steam Deck to the airport, and to me that just felt like
it's a little bit more controlled. You know, at least you're not gonna have someone just swipe it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, okay. So what are we on? What segment of the?
I think if you guys don't have any more winners, let's go to what
I do have a winner.
Yeah.
I do have a winner. Have you guys been seeing the PlayStation 5 sales every month?
Oh yeah.
This thing is, you guys put it in the losers, but the coffers at Sony, the coffers right there, there's some kind of a money counting device. I don't know what a coffer is. It's going through the roof. It's like way outselling the PS4.
Yeah, but how does that benefit somebody that bought a PS5? What does that get them? If there's no games to play on it that are exclusive to PlayStation 5 other than Spider-Man 2, what does that get them? It doesn't get them
Well,
anything.
it gets some future. It gets some future.
It
stuff.
ensures that
Wolverine.
Sony's not going out of business. Yeah, it gets some Wolverine. But yeah,
I
you
just think
can't you can't call them a winner because, well, you can call Sony a winner, but PlayStation fans are not
They're
a
not
winner
winning.
this year. Not winning.
Yeah.
Not winning.
Well, all right. We'll agree to disagree.
But I
on
get
that.
it.
Let's
If you
move
want to
on.
call, but
Like
I don't.
Sony
I
is
didn't
winning
mean.
this.
Yeah, I didn't mean to hijack that. If you want to call Sony
Yeah.
a winner, they're obviously a winner. Yeah, this year.
I do say I would put as winner is PlayStation hardware. I think they released a
Right.
lot this year, whether they did good or not. But they
they
went
really
ahead
put
and
it
did
out there.
Yeah.
I'd say that all the console manufacturers this year are winners. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, I mean, Nintendo.
I don't know about that. I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
I mean, Nintendo. Look at Switch sales around the time the Tears of the Kingdom came out. Look at, well, don't look at Xbox sales. I don't even know if they. I don't think they.
That's what I mean.
They don't have numbers anymore on those. But yeah, around the time Spider-Man came out, there was Sony sold a bunch of PlayStation 5s. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think all of them are, winners this year.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna move on to the biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise, or do you want to do biggest disappointment first, or are you gonna save that for last?
All right.
This-
Let's move on. Let's go. Biggest disappointment.
Yeah,
For
let's do that
personal
first.
ones, yes.
Yeah.
I already talked about this. I'm most disappointed in humanity. The discourse around live service games has disappointed me. Those other than you two, I can't find a single other gaming media personality who doesn't buy the anti-gas narrative. So that you've heard
Yeah.
that a million times from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you guys though?
Let me
Vic, what is
Yeah,
your biggest
yeah, go ahead.
disappointment?
I think my biggest disappointment was probably Redfall. I mean, I
Yeah.
was expecting maybe a mid game to
Yeah.
it, but it just kind of like it's undercooked. It's way undercooked. It's
Yeah.
raw. But
Right.
I almost want to put Starfield in there for some reasons, but I think Starfield was more or less like met my expectations.
Okay. Yeah. Scott, what about you?
I would say, and we talked about this earlier though, but lackluster PC optimization and console optimization on both. I mean, I think this year we got some games that it didn't perform well and could use probably 2 more months of optimization. And not to mention that Nvidia releases their 400 or their 40 series cards at inflated prices at the same time that we start getting bad PC optimized games. It's a conspiracy. I know it is, but no.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just especially for someone that just went back to PC from console and was enjoying for a good 6 months. Having a 3060 Ti and like, man, everything's great. I play 120 frames per second and everything. And then, here comes the new games and just getting 40 and 50. That was a disappointment this year. And I guess it's probably going to be my disappointment for next year, it seems. So,
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah. Also, Modern Warfare 3, but, I think
yeah.
I think everybody's disappointed in that.
Apparently, no one likes jokes at the Game Awards. Remember the
No,
developers kind of.
You can't joke
joke about
about. I mean, really. I mean, okay. To the people that make Call of Duty, you make Call of Duty. Are you not used to jokes about Call of Duty? Give me a break.
Right.
Anyway.
I think it's more so it's because like it's the industry, like like
Beating up
even
on it.
Oh, come on, man.
IGN for the most part they're pretty good about avoiding some things, like avoiding some like joining in especially I would say during the podcast, like they're pretty good about not like throwing people under the bus, like for no reason.
Well,
For
they
the-
they don't want to make anybody mad.
Yeah,
They won't get their review copies.
I think it's a little distasteful at something like a award though. I mean, yeah, it's Call of Duty. It's like Call of Duty is a low hanging fruit.
Well, it is, but I mean, if you've ever seen Ricky Gervais do the Golden Globes, I think it's on par. Not in good taste, not mind you, but it is on par.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what I think actually happened. I think that studio probably didn't reach certain incentives, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
probably got incentives like you're gonna spend 3 years of your life making this game. If these hit these sales, you're gonna get bonuses. You're gonna take your family on yada yada yada. And they're just like, we didn't get anything. Like we performed terribly.
I don't know. This is
it's
still the top game on.
Yeah,
But-
still top
but-
seller of the year.
but relative to prior ones, it's like 20% under, isn't it?
Well,
And I just think like
Probably.
I think if you get the phone call like, hey, you're not going to Hawaii this year with your family for 2 weeks, and oh, by the way, everyone's making fun of you. It's like, oh, shut up. Would you people shut up, right?
Yeah, probably.
You know?
But
Yeah.
sorry.
All right.
Okay, anyway.
What segment of the show are we on right now?
It's
Okay.
it's Thick's disappointment of the year.
What is your disappointment?
Oh, I already said it was Redfall.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
that's
that's
right.
right, Redfall.
Okay. So now we
Yeah.
go to met expectations.
Yeah, what met expectations to you guys this year?
Let me go first. You ready? The PlayStation Portal.
Okay, cool.
When this thing was
You
first
don't have
revealed,
one,
everyone.
though.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I get it. I get this thing. When that thing was first revealed, everyone's like, oh my gosh, look how ugly it is. It's never gonna yada yada yada. All these stupid bogus narratives that at the time I'm like, these are stupid bogus narratives. The thing comes out, it sells out instantly. Now,
Yeah.
who knows long term what that means? But it sounds like that thing's comfortable to put in your hands, right?
Yeah.
Seems to be doing moderately well. Seems to do okay in terms of like the reviews. That it was getting a lot of 8s. Like actually, in certain situations, it actually performs pretty well.
So I'll tell you,
In your
this is
living room.
actually my was exceeded my expectations. I think the PS Portal
really?
is better than
Than you thought.
for what it advertised to do. It is better than what I expected.
Nice. Wow. All right. What about you, Scott?
I would have to say Diablo 4.
I
And-
have that
which
too.
it's kind of a cheat because you had a closed beta, you had an open beta, you had another open beta, and through that we got to play a good chunk of the game and see a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of server performance with each one. So
Yeah.
at the time of launch, I didn't have any problems. I don't think we didn't even have a queue for a little bit. As more people got on, there was a little bit of a queue. But as far as a launch of a game that's relatively a live service game, it did really well. And having those open betas, I knew what to expect playing the game, and I knew what to expect as far as performance and network code and all that kind of stuff. So, and overall, that first experience with it was good. So yeah, it met my expectations.
Yeah.
Did you have another one?
I did. So aside from Diablo 4, I put Remnant 2.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, I was excited for it. It's like, well, I think I mentioned it was one of my most excited games this year. And I think it kind of it blew it out of the park for the media, but it met what I wanted out of the game. Like, it's like an improvement in every area.
Yeah.
And it's a good game.
Cool.
Yeah.
I agree. All right.
All right.
Wow.
Exceeded your expectations.
All right.
All right. Let me go first here. I
Yeah,
would
go
say
ahead.
I'm like Scott. So Scott read off a list of a bunch of single player games that didn't really do it for me. He's like, you hear the narrative like this is a great year. Look at these games, and I'm like, those games seem like old games to me with nicer graphics. The Finals comes out and totally exceeds my expectations.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Saved Christmas. It saved Christmas.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do remember the first time seeing it, I'm like, why are they making these types of arena shooters anymore? You guys know how much I hate arena shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is in my opinion, it's the best arena shooter.
Yeah,
on the
I
market,
actually
for sure.
wasn't sure you were going to like this game.
Yeah. I just need, I like classes. I like asymmetry. I like a little approaching thing and like, let's try to approach it the best way. So there's enough thinking involved or like strategy involved where I kind of click with it.
Yeah, like the stairway jump pad.
I love that. I love that thing. Yeah. I was even telling someone about it. Like I was playing solo queue today. I was like, hey, you can put that jump pad on the stairs. And he's like, yeah, I know. Shut up. So, but I didn't mind.
It's funny. We were playing that one round. The other guy had a turret on the other platform. And
Oh,
when
it was
they
awesome. Yes.
it was like Duck Hunt. Like they jump on the platform and they're just getting pelted.
And the turret crushes them all the way down. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just see like the coins fall to the ground. It was satisfying.
It was.
I had the clip of where you put like the explosive mines, like,
Mhm.
and this guy just rushes in and he just dies. It was hilarious, but
Gets
yeah, I mean,
deleted.
there's, I mean, I would put the finals as probably like maybe one of my game of the years.
Mhm.
It's a runner up. I think Diablo 4 would be my game of the year, but I mean, we could talk about that in a little bit. But I would say,
Yeah.
well, I think I already mentioned what exceeded my expectations was the PS Portal. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So,
wait,
I mean,
Scott, did you?
Exceeded my expectations. Wow. I couldn't really come up with one. I think that, yeah, well, I mean, I think that just if you take the horrible performance out of like most of these games this year, just in games in general, for me personally, I'm like the Dead Space remake. Dead Space has been one of my favorite games. They knocked it out of the park. Jedi Survivor it's a fantastic game. I mean, it's one of those Star Wars games that you don't have to love Star Wars to really enjoy.
I like it.
So what you're saying is EA exceeded your expectations.
EA exceeded my expectations. Baldur's Gate 3. Just the love for this game and the how much it's selling just really shows that aside from Nate, that having a true RPG, single player and multiplayer role playing game, have it game of the year and selling it really well, especially from a studio that's not that not everybody hates. Just kind of, I don't know. It gives kind of makes you feel a little better about gaming as
I agree.
as a whole.
I consider putting that as exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
But I haven't personally played it yet, so.
Well, if you got it, play it. I play it in small doses because I've become horrible at min-maxing and using my characters to their highest potential. So I get myself in a lot of trouble and get frustrated. But that's just a me thing. I need to go back to my D&D roots and get it done. But yeah, just that in general. Just the games this year. Who would have thought we would have gotten these incredible games all in 1 year? So that definitely surprised me.
I will say to Scott, Scott, I'm a stickler for like engagement numbers.
Right.
Baldur's Gate 3 hit it out of the park with engagement numbers.
It really
right
did.
now I'm looking on Steam. It's still the third most played game on Steam.
Yeah.
Like that's unheard of with single player games.
It really is. And not only that, it was in early access for a year. I played it before it came out.
I think 2 years, actually.
It was 2 years because it was shortly after they announced it. The numbers and how many were just playing the early access was far exceeded, what's normal in that in the early access, realm. So yeah, and just a game like that, it makes me happy that it's, and I'm not picking on anybody, but I'm just happy it's not a Naughty Dog game or an Insomniac game or that, that
I'm with you there.
Handheld story, movie game.
Yeah.
Right.
And it single-handedly brought back a genre.
It really did, and I think it introduced it to a lot of people that really didn't know they were going to enjoy that.
Yeah. Now it's like, try Divinity, try Pillars of Eternity. These are all great games still, too.
Solasta, that's an incredible turn-based game.
And Wasteland, also good.
Yep. Solasta is $11 right now on Steam. Go buy it. So it's definitely worth $11.
Is that in early access?
Nope. It's been out for release? Yeah, it's been out for a while. It's very sturdy. I haven't had any issues with it. Probably the worst looking character models in a game I've seen in a long time. But other than that, graphics? I know, right? Yeah. I mean, once you make your character is this big. So you're not going to, be looking at him anyway. So whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. Turn-based RPG in general. What a year for that.
Yeah. Excellent.
Done.
Guys, I feel like I can hear the bells right now. we're getting played out of 2023.
I hear music.
Pretty
As,
much.
I would
as
like
this
to thank
podcast,
my producer.
yes,
Can I ask one thing? Game of the years
yes.
for you guys.
Oh, okay.
To me, it's the finals.
I put it up there pretty high. I
You
don't. I think I already mentioned Diablo 4 for me.
What would let me ask you? I've played a lot of the finals right now. I'd give it a.
Mhm.
I feel like when I hear reviews, if I was a reviewer, I would never give a 9 or a 10, or it would be so rare
Mhm.
for me to give those out. I would give like the finals an 8 out of 10, that's like by far my highest score I would give a game this year.
I think if the finals had an award for I'm getting to do everything I saw in that first trailer,
Yeah,
it would definitely get that award.
You
But
do that stuff.
You
do
absolutely. Everything in that trailer that it showed has happened and then some while playing that game. And that's
Best trailer of the year.
Yeah, that's just unheard of now. When I saw that, I'm like, come on now. That's not what we're gonna get. That is absolutely what we got.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, Scott, what about you? Game of the year?
God,
for
I
you?
don't know. I would have to pick. I would say Baldur's Gate 3, but I played it last year. But as far as like time and fun and
Yeah, you posted a picture in the Discord of your most played games. What was number 1?
Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Was it really?
That was my second. Yeah.
I mean, it just it feels like a complete and new game from launch, and just the level of variety in the multiplayer. And now they added Firefight, which is is addictive and fun. And the network code's been completely redone, and it's super stable. And everything that was wrong with it and everything everybody's been complaining about so far has pretty much been fixed. And it feels like a complete and finished product, which is also kind of sad because I don't know if it's going to be like, well, enjoy it. You won't get anything else for another 4 years. But I'd have to say that I had more fun with that than most any other game this year.
Yeah, I would probably put that pretty high too. I guess the reason I put Diablo 4 too is it's the game I played consistently for a long time, and if a game could keep me like in more than 2-hour sessions daily, I think that's a game of the year to me. So that's kind of what it is.
Absolutely.
And the finals is starting to do that. Like I can play this for a while and still kind of have new experiences, right?
Yeah.
Something is bugging me about the finals though. If you don't have a team and you're soloing, you have to be like a nanny with your other players. Like you have to just follow them around.
What you do is you spam hype. That's what I do.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You told me it would work. It doesn't work. I feel like the more you play that game, the more you see like, why did my teammate do that? Why did he do that? Whereas if you're in a pre-made, if me, Scott, and Thick are playing, then you can yell at your teammate. You can say, "You blew it! Stop doing that! You gotta, you gotta do what we've got to do." Right.
But it's also nice to see, like, we try one strategy, but then we see how the other players go around it, right? Like we learn a lot. Like, I mean, there's that one level where it's very open, and we tried to do a similar strategy, and it did not work as well.
Right.
And like, there's moments where we just lose it right at the very end, and like we just start to contemplate why we lost it.
One thing I am noticing about this, and I don't think I'll ever really get into the game this much, is I feel like the abilities of those different classes, they actually do synergize with each other.
They do.
So like,
I do feel
if you have a heavy with a certain loadout, your medium should carry a certain loadout that kind of intermingles real nicely with him, And I feel like that's if you find like 3 people you consistently play with, that could be more fun, right?
Just everyone needs to carry explosive mines.
Yeah, just 9 of them everywhere.
Well, I think it's starting to show that this game is deeper than it appears when you first play it.
Yeah,
there's layers there that we're just kind of getting into. And
I'm getting Bad Company 2 vibes from this. So.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
Or more of an observation. None of us chose Starfield as our game of the year. Why is that?
I think I mentioned like I wanted to put in disappointing, but I would also say like it met my expectations at a fair amount of things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what people are saying is correct, but I honestly hate the discourse on the game. It's just so toxic. Some people come in and say it's like, oh, I'm loving this game, bunch of people just pile up on them in the subreddit. It's like, nope,
Right.
you won't like it in a couple hours. I mean, yeah, maybe true, but
Well, yeah, but you can't use that as that's just people
can't
telling other
rate-
people what their opinion is.
yeah, I really I hate that.
I do too.
But
Right.
like, yeah, I agree with like in many of the points. It does get a little repetitive after a while, and I think the whole Thousand Planets thing, I was already skeptical, so that's why I say it to an extent. It met
Yeah.
my expectations that it was not as great as they may have mentioned, because it's just a number, right? Oh, 1,000 planets. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm wondering what I'm gonna do with those 1,000 planets, but I'll see how you guys develop it, and then I'll make my decision. And then, yeah, it's like they didn't really push any boundaries with that.
Yeah, well, I think it's okay. So there's 1,000 planets, but there's
About
nothing
100
on
are
any
populated.
of them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that doesn't it makes it sound vast and large, but it doesn't make it sound like okay. So one of these planets has a lost city on it that has this huge quest, and I've got to find that planet. That sounds great. That sounds amazing. That sounds like 5 years from now I'm playing this. I finally found that planet.
Yeah.
Just having 1,000 planets, it just sounds. It's just a number on a sheet of paper. When
I think,
there's
like,
nothing on it, it's lackluster.
I've encountered points too where you go up to it, like there's a point of interest, like it's marked on the map. I didn't go to it, right? I go up to it and it's nothing. It's just like
Yeah.
this monument that's like stuck to the side of a moon, and I thought I could explore it, but I could not.
So it wasn't necessarily a point of interest, just a point of
You could travel around
non-interaction.
in space, yeah.
It's not. I think that when I finished it and I finished my playthrough and I did the whole coming back, I was done. And I really haven't felt. It gave me. This is what I do with Fallout. I'm a Elder Scrolls guy. I'm not a Fallout guy.
Mhm.
So Fallout, I'll play the game. I'll enjoy it. It's fine. I'll play around with it, maybe with some mods. I'll finish the game, and then I'm done. So that's exactly what I did with this game. I still play Skyrim. It's not Skyrim. It's for me. I mean, it's not, and I didn't think it would be. I was kind of hoping it would be, but it feels, after playing it and being done with it, it just feels so disconnected and choppy.
I think the problem I felt is that it is starting to show its age. So
yeah,
like just the whole engine and the design philosophy, because it's a bigger world, but they could not match the scope of the world to their current design philosophy.
I don't think they should have made this game, I think is what it comes down to. I think if they had made what Todd Howard has said before is that the star of their games is the location. Like in Fallout, it's the location. In Skyrim, it's the location. And he's absolutely right. In Starfield, there really is no location. There's multiple locations, but it's not. If you can't look at it as a whole world, because it's all, again, it's
very segmented.
It's very segmented and chopped up in these little pieces, and you don't get a feel for those things, especially when you're traveling. Having a ship is cool and having a crew is cool, and and that kind of thing, but you're not really. It's just it doesn't feel like a ship to me. It just feels like an apartment that I shoot things with and then pick where I want to go. I don't think they really nailed space travel or any one particular thing in that game. Not that it's a bad game. I just don't think it is. It's not their best game.
I don't have a problem with them. Like they tried, and there's probably some things, like people say that it probably was more a survival based game, because there's some systems in the game you kind of see that they feel like it's either undercooked or they had to back off of.
It was probably gonna, like they said, like running out of fuel in space. They were like, well, if you run out of fuel in space, you dead. Game over. It's like nobody wants to do that.
I saw that fuel system, and it's like in the UI, but it has no bearings really on your traveling, because you could just jump from one system to the next system, and then then jump from that system to whatever system you couldn't before.
Right. It
So
doesn't
it's
make
like,
sense. So the whole mechanic of that is useless, and so why is it there? And there's a lot of little things like that. So like it's more, the more you play it, the more you see like the cracks in the,
Yeah,
in the whole
armor,
the
or-
whole structure, of it. It's I couldn't remember the saying. It's cracks in the armor, but so anyway,
So
I think
definitely
it's
yeah.
No, go ahead.
I definitely think like they had other ideas in mind, but they either had to pull back like kind of late in development, and that's probably why some things are the way they are.
Yeah. I know why they use that engine, because it is easily moddable, and the mod community does a lot for them and does a lot for their games. But I just don't think that engine, they should have used that engine to make this game. So therefore, I don't think they should have made this game. So.
Well, a Bethesda developer is about to comment on our YouTube channel and tell us why what you guys are saying is wrong.
Well, I think we're a lot fairer on the game than a lot of people. Like,
Yeah. I
well,
mean,
I don't think we hate the game.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed playing it.
Yeah.
It's not something I want to play again, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys,
and
we're not exiting this podcast. We're going to exit this podcast in 2 minutes. But before that, we're going, what is your single most anticipated 2024 game? Thick, you go first. 2 minutes. You have under 2 minutes.
Metroid Prime 4.
Oh, are you sure it's happening?
I don't know, but
It's going to pick an
Switch 2,
unannounced
right?
game.
Yeah, I'm going to just say it because I am still looking forward to it. So,
Okay. And will you play it when it comes? Or are you going to put it on your shelf like next to Tears of the Kingdom?
I might put it on my shelf for a while, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Scott, what about you?
So far, out of the games that we do know that are actually releasing, is Dragon's Dogma 2.
That's number one for you.
That's a good choice.
So
Okay, that's
far,
a good one.
Unless they come up with something else. There are some indie titles that are supposed to come out in 24, but I'm not sure if they are or not. And then Sulaco is supposed to come out in May 2024 as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Mine's going to go with Concord. PlayStation bought that studio after they saw the game, and Concord means like a meeting of people, which I'm just like, oh, that's enough for me. That's enough for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
There we
All
go.
right, guys. That does it. We're gonna do this again in 2024, aren't we?
2024, yeah.
This is our last show of the year of 2023.
Yes, that's right. All right. Well, we're not gonna do our traditional goodbye. We're just gonna say goodbye, and that'll do it.
No quotes.
No quotes. No quotes this year. We have to end this podcast. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
All right, guys.
All right.
Guys, we'll catch you next year. All right.
All right. Take care.